Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, Troy.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Hey, man.
Good.
Hey Steve. See, let's see. We're still we're short a little bit. Let's get Mackenzie over here. Not sure why we got her as an
Hey,
attendee.
Troy.
Hey, what's up?
This is Carly. Jeannie just wanted me to let you know that she's going to be a little late.
What? She can't be late.
She said she'd be here, though, that just a little bit late.
Okay. We'll be fine. So, Becca, Ed, let's see. I think we can go ahead and start. So. Steve, since you're first, you want to welcome everybody. Thank you for attending staff meeting today. We are glad that you're here. So, Steve, you are first. You me to pass you the screen?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Let me see here, Steve. Okay, it's all yours.
So and Troy and I are always thanking you for all the hard work everybody does. And we are a technology company, which is good and bad. In fact, when we started Well Steps, I don't think Troy and I ever considered ourselves to be a technology company. That was never my intention. In fact, I had never worked on a server or done anything on a server in my life when we started Well Steps. We just started doing what we knew a wellness program should do, and we ended up using more and more technology. And here we are, I would say, a very serious technology company, which is good in that we're technologically advanced and we touch a lot of lives. It's bad because we don't do wellness the way it used to be done. Wellness used to be this pretty face-to-face group meeting, a lot of interacting with individuals, educating, congratulating, encouraging, typical face-to-face health coaching, group teaching kind of stuff. And we don't do that. In fact, we sit behind our computers all day, all of us, for the most part. And I thought it would be appropriate for me to take a minute and just share with you the bigger picture about what we are doing. I know we use the technology, and the technology allows us to reach a lot of people and to do things we couldn't do otherwise. In fact, we are one of the first customers that GoToWebinar ever had. So we use GoToWebinar all the time. We use GoToMeeting all the time. We have we just started, here's our pricing price that they have grandfathered us into. We were like their third customer when they ever started. We've been doing this a long time. So that said, you sit behind your computer, and I mean, what does it really mean? You pay the bills, you pay your mortgage, you have gainful employment, hopefully you have some benefits, but it's more than that. Everything that we've set up is designed to improve people's health. And I know we publish a few papers and we do some studies to show that it's working, but I had Brian give me a copy of every person who's ever taken the PHA twice at Well Steps. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who have ever taken the PHA once at baseline and 1 year later. And I wanted a baseline, and he gave me that big old massive data set, and I just kind of crunched some numbers, and I was going to show you in an aggregate form to encourage you that I know we're a technology company and we sit on our keyboards, but at the end of the day, we have an effect on people's lives. So your absenteeism variable, I think it asks how many times you've been absent to work in the last a month or whatever it was. Baseline 1.5. 1 year later, they're absent a little bit more. Well, way to go. Well Steps, your wellness program, causes a higher absenteeism by 1.41%. That's this last variable up here. What does this one mean at the top? I don't think it means much of anything. I think it's just, there's no difference. This is the percentage change for variables. Body mass index didn't change much when we look at the total body mass index, but I'm going to split that one out by obese, normal weight, underweight. Depression down a little bit, Emergency room visits down. Exercise, this is days per week, no change when we look at it as a whole. But as you'll see later, there's a big change. Fruits up a little bit, grains up a little bit, consumption, healthcare visits down, hospital stays are down, job satisfaction are down. What the heck? How can we have lower job satisfaction? Well, I'm not sure why. Life satisfaction up a little bit, loneliness up a little bit. That's the wrong direction. We wouldn't have expected that. Productivity flat, seatbelts better, self-reported health is a little bit better, smoking is down. But here's where I took some of these variables and I split them out. For example, exercise. If you look at this variable right here, this is everybody. This is like 100,000 people. And at baseline, they were doing 213. 1 year later, they were doing 234. Now, this is everybody in the data set. Everybody improved a little bit. But for the Eds and the Kendalls and the Steves and the Troys and the Beccas and the Carlys of the world who are getting plenty of exercise, I wouldn't expect a wellness program to improve your exercise at all because most of us are already doing as much as we need. So I split it out. I says, well, what about people who are doing a little bit of exercise in the beginning? People who are getting less than 100 in a week, what happens to them? Well, they double the amount of physical activity they're getting 1 year later. So this is minutes of exercise. The people who are getting a lot, 394, so they're getting, they're getting 6.5, almost 7 hours plus of exercise a day. It comes down a little bit, which is okay because they're getting oodles. And the moderate even goes up. So when I look at this data right here, I think, you know what, we have had an enormous impact, especially on the people who need to be moving the most. So the ones who are sedentary have essentially doubled. And who is this? This is every company we've ever worked with across the planet who did the PHA twice. So the actual number of people in this group right here is something like 37,000. So you sit on your computer, you read faxes, you make phone calls, you have meetings. At the end of the day, 37,000 people who are mostly inactive have doubled their physical activity because of what we do. So I look at that and that's why I get excited about what we do. And we don't see it every day because we have meetings, we talk about technology and everything else, but this is a huge impact. The Al Lewis's of the world say, well, that's just regression to the mean. Every score is just changing, but it's not. If it were regression to the mean, these ones would be dropping a lot more and the ones in the middle wouldn't be changing at all. It's because they're having an effect. So slow sleep, people getting few days of good sleep versus most. The ones who are getting the least good sleep are improving 17%. Look down here at BMI. I took BMI and I split it into low, moderate, or low, healthy, overweight, and obese. And then if you take a look at those numbers and we split them out, it looks even more different. These are the ones I'm talking about right here. Overall, I showed you on the previous page, not much difference. But people with low body weight, the underweight, actually go up 5-6%. Healthy weight pretty much stays the same. Overweight stays the same. Those who are obese, they drop just a little bit. Now, because there's 100,000 people in each of these boxes, these changes are significant, clinically, or at least statistically significant. And then lastly, self-related health. And people who had low self-related health at the beginning, 1 year later, it's up 10%. People who, hey, I'm doing great, no change across time, I'm still doing great, but this is a big one. This is a big increase in people who rate their health to be poor. It goes up dramatically, and there's 100,000 people in here. So I look at this data and we hide behind the technology and we do our thing and we update data sets and we fiddle around in WS admin and we do technology, and it's this mask that hides underlying what we're really doing, and that is we're having a significant and meaningful impact on the health of a ton of people. And to me, this is why this is so exciting. I haven't looked at cholesterol and blood pressures because we don't have that many on that many people, but we've already done those studies. So kudos to all of you. You go to work, you do your thing, you sit on your computer, and at the end of the day, somebody in Kalamazoo or El Paso or California is getting healthier because of your efforts, and we make a living doing it. So, honey, how was your day? My day was great. I made a little money. I did some technology, and some people got healthy because of it. So I love what we do. And thank you all for letting me share this vision of we're slowly changing the world's health, one little client at a time.
Woohoo! And the people said, well, that makes what I have to say just seem horribly, horribly boring, Steve. That's really exciting news. That's very exciting news. So I just have four things, and then we'll toss to Jenny. And Jenny, you're in here, right? I think I saw
Yes,
you.
I am here. I was
Yeah,
a
okay.
minute late. I was with Brian, but yeah, I'm here.
Okay. First of all, I just wanted to let you know that the EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunities, something. I'm not sure what the C stands for. I want to give you a bit of a history. We had a question come up that said, well, what about the change in the EEOC guidelines for wellness programs effective 1/1 of 2019? And I was like, what? I never even heard of that. So I did a little searching and I read some blogs, and it turns out that, well, I'm going to summarize for you. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to summarize for you, and then two, I'm going to tell you what to say if anyone asks you about this. All right. So just so you know, the EEOC did a ton of work to promote guidelines for wellness programs. You may recall, if you were with WellSteps, that back, it was 1/1 of 2017, nearly 2 years ago, the EEOC in their guidelines, they published if you've got people in wellness programs, you should have them all sign this waiver. And here's the wording that you should use. And it was horrible. It was awful. It was very long. And there were a lot of $10 words in it. So we edited it, and we sent out an email to all of our customers as a course of just courtesy and good customer service. And I'm unclear what happened with all that, but that was 2 years ago. Well, so everybody thought we're just fine. The EEOC has guidelines, and away we go. Well, there's an organization called AARP. It's the same organization that sent me a membership card before I turned 55. It really pissed me off. I was like, what are you guys sending me membership cards for? It's for old people. They sued the EEOC, and they said, wait a minute, for a couple of reasons. I won't go into the details, but just for a couple of reasons, there was a lawsuit. And so there were three parties: the EEOC, AARP, and then the courts. The courts said, well, we agree. We think there's a 30% limit on incentives, and we think it's relatively arbitrary. We don't think that you have any good evidence, EEOC, to back this up. And so why don't you see if you can come up with some evidence? And so basically AARP won, and that threw everybody into a tizzy. Everybody was kind of excited on one side, and they weren't on the other side. Well, the AARP said they weren't satisfied with that. They asked the courts if they said we should the ruling should be vacated, meaning we should roll everyone back to the previous to the guidelines. You should tell everybody that these guidelines from the EEOC are no longer valid. And the court said, no, we don't think we're going to do that. We think we're going to wait. And they asked the EEOC, and they said, well, how long do you think before you can give us some new guidelines? And the EEOC said 2021. And the court said, we think that's too long. You think you can do that any faster? And the EEOC said, no, we really don't think so. And so the court sided with AARP. They said, well, okay, if you can't move any faster than that, we are going to vacate this ruling, meaning it's like it never happened. And so a lot of people, that's the vacated ruling is going to go in effect 1/1 of 2019, and so lots of people are asking about it. But basically, all it means is that we're rolling back to a time when there were other guidelines in place. So keep in mind, there's ADA guidelines, there's HIPAA guidelines, there's GINA guidelines, there's all these guidelines for wellness programs, and all the effect of this ruling is that the EEOC's guidelines are no longer valid. So we got to wait. And so what you should tell people if they ask about it, if they say, well, tell us, what are you going to do? Then all you have to say is, well, we talked about this in a recent staff meeting, and you're not going to remember half of this that I just told you, even though I tried very hard to make it interesting. You can say, well, let me get back to you on that. You can contact me if you want. You can contact Jenny. They're going to talk about an ops meeting, an upcoming ops meeting. They're going to go over this in a little more detail. And I think Janie's going to provide some information. And one of our customers that Carly is a guide for asked this question, which is how we found out about it. And Carly, I sent an email to Carly, and I said, here's what we know. And I got an email back from Neil Hirsch, who, Steve, you should recognize that name. He said, thanks, we'll continue doing what we've always been doing, which is exactly the impact of all of this mess. So there you go. That's what we know about EEOC. And I suspect if I say, does anyone have any questions, there will be crickets. So I'm not even going to ask that question. If you have any questions about that, you got to interrupt. So number 2 is about travel. I've already notified Allie, but if you've got to rent a car for any reason, make sure that you go through Allie and let her make arrangements for the car that you rent on the WellSteps credit card. That's for a variety of reasons, but primarily has to do with the coverage that we have on that we get because we rent through the WellSteps credit card. And there may be some questions about that which we can handle offline, but again, if you do any travel for WellSteps and you need an automobile rented, make sure that Allie knows, and Allie takes care of that rental ahead of time with the WellSteps credit card. I know you guys all want your own points and miles and everything, but believe me, this is going to be better for you. Third thing is that there are some Christmas notes coming your way. These are intended for you to be able to write a handwritten personal note to each coordinator with whom you work and say, I love you, thank you, you're wonderful, whatever it is you feel like you need to say. You can send that note with or without a gift card. That's fine. The important thing is that you send a note, that you let the coordinator know at the end of the year how you feel about them, that they're wonderful. And if you have a difficult time because a coordinator is more difficult to live with, then you just send them a gift card. You can figure it out. You guys are smart. So for Allie, this is for you. The cards that you're getting in the mail, they're not typical WellSteps quality. They're good. They're not great. I'll say that. Sally and I, we looked at them and we agreed that we're never going to use the company from which we ordered again. But the ones you're getting they're fine. Go ahead and write on them, mail them out. They won't embarrass you. They're not as thick as the other nice cards that we produce for the leadership kit. So that's all about Christmas notes. And then staff meeting, we will have staff meeting in 2 weeks. I know it's Thursday before Christmas is the following Tuesday. I promise that it will be short, meaning it'll be less than 15 minutes. But you're going to want to attend that because we have a special surprise for everybody. We're gonna announce end of year Christmas bonuses and make arrangements for all of that in that meeting. So as far as I know, that might be the only item of business. So just so you know, that's coming up. With that, I think I'll toss to Jenny. So Jenny, do you have anything? Actually, you do have something. So do you need?
I have just I will for the wheel. Yes, I will for the wheel.
Okay.
So I'm probably the least exciting news of today out of Steve and Troy and myself. The first item I wanted to mention, I know she's actually not with us during this meeting, but Kelsey Cole has been with us for quite a long time and has vacillated over it for a while, and after a lot of thought has decided that her time with WellSteps has come to an end. She has loved working with us. She wanted me to make sure that I shared that with everybody, how much she appreciates the support. And we certainly appreciate all of her. She's kind of been known as our idea girl for the past couple of years. She has just wonderful ideas. So her last official day with us will be tomorrow. So if you feel so inclined to reach out to her, you want to make sure you do it sooner than later. She will keep in touch. You know, we'd love to have her back at some point, but just so everybody knows, she will be parting ways as of tomorrow, end of day, and we have just really, really enjoyed having her with us. So other than that, the only other item before we get to the wheel as a little announcement and a heads up for everybody is just the Bring It On challenge. So with the challenge, I know that everybody from our group has been doing some testing with it. Will has done awesome in his testing. Are you guys hearing an echo at all?
Yeah, we hear a small echo. Let me just see if I can't figure out who's causing that echo.
I didn't see if it was anybody specifically. Maybe it's gone. But long story short, we want to ensure that we have an extremely strong and successful rollout of challenges. And since Bring It On will be our first one, we will actually be delaying rollout slightly. We don't have a line in the same date because, again, we want to make sure that we have the very best product to roll out to everybody. So if you guys are doing side challenges with each other, that's great. Definitely send feedback in continuously on things. You will see some changes. You'll probably already notice some of them here as far as icons and refresh buttons and chat and little things like that. But one of the biggest things that has been updated that I definitely think is worth noting, Brian and Paul actually spent quite a bit of time thinking through the data that is pulled for this challenge. So as everybody knows, we have the option to do overall and today. And don't judge me too much. We just started this today, so I promise I will start chasing after Ed here in a little bit. But as you know, we have overall and today. And the way they have set this up, they enhanced it so that anytime a user comes to this challenge page, it is going to do a sync right then so that their data and anybody else's data that is in that challenge with them is going to be updated. So it should be a fairly real-time, quote-unquote real-time, based on their device account, not their device or their watch. It will be a fairly real-time leaderboard standing. So obviously, if it is affecting the today data, it's going to be affecting the overall data as well. So that was a pretty significant update to how we had been doing things. And then, of course, like I mentioned, there are quite a few other little things that have been updated and changed that they are working on as well. So just a big thank you for everybody's testing. I think it's going to be a great product to roll out when we get to that point here shortly. So anything else you wanted to on that, Troy or Steve or anybody else?
No, but man, I'm looking at this. I see Kendall, I see Becca, I see Kelsey, I see you, Jenny, and I see Isabel. So there's a 1 in 5 chance you're gonna get picked.
Well, let's see. Kendall did last time, and Kendall's in a meeting right now. I just jumped out of, so you got to take Kendall out of here.
Oh shoot! Did I forget to? I guess he did do it last time. I couldn't remember if he was just talking about the bull riding.
No, that's
I think that was
he was
when Carly did it.
He's part Cuban or something like that.
He's half Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican, yeah.
And I did have a question about Bring It On. If we have like an approximate date when we might be able to start talking about it.
So I'm guessing it will likely be the beginning of January, which could work into our advantage. You know, we have a lot of programs that are starting in January. New year, new challenges, kind of that kind of vibe. Obviously, we want to be mindful of the holidays as well, but at this point, we don't want to rush it too much, and make sure that everything looks good and is ready to go. So I would say no later than the beginning of January.
Okay. And,
Okay,
and
so
did our wheel include everybody, even our new hires? Like
the testing that we were doing, yes.
no, and
The wheel.
the wheel of death.
No, the wheel.
Oh,
yeah,
the
we had-
wheel.
We had spotlight. We had spotlights on
Okay.
Michelle, and we had spotlights on Shalise. And
Okay, so they
we
got a
include them.
spotlight in.
So it's just you got a 1 in 4 chance of being picked. So Becca, are
Okay.
you ready? And Jenny, are you ready? Kelsey, are you ready? Hopefully you guys are all ready. So go ahead.
Kelsey is actually out of pocket, so
Oh, snap.
I'm here.
Oh, you are here. Okay, I thought you. I guess you were
Isabel.
listening yesterday.
Isabel.
Yay, I knew it was coming. Okay. A couple of fun facts about me. So fact number 1, ever since I can remember, I have multiple dreams every night, and I can remember all of my dreams when I wake up. So it makes sleeping really fun. And yeah, it's really entertaining. So I'm a big dreamer. And then second fact, something I've been doing for the past 2 years, I decided after I graduated that I really wanted to expand my cooking library because I was just eating the same things over and over as a student. So for the past 2 years, I've been making something different, and I haven't made the same thing twice in the past 2 years, which has been really fun.
What?
I know, it's actually really delicious and fun. So anyway, and then the last fact is I have 3 siblings, and my younger brother, Stu, he's 12, and he just passed me up. So I'm now the shortest person in my family. He's about by an inch now. So anyway, yeah, that's some fun facts about me.
What is your 2 favorite meals over the last 2 years? Healthy meals.
Man. I made really good curry a couple of months ago. That is definitely going back on the repeat menu once I start doing repeat things. I love curry. I think that was actually, I talked about that in my spotlight when I first got hired, but curry is one of my favorite things. And then, let's see, this season I actually did make something twice. I made this pumpkin chocolate chip streusel cake. I think I've made it 4 times now, just for different things because it was so good. So yeah, pumpkin chocolate chip streusel cake. I'll send you all the recipe if you want it.
Awesome. Awesome. You know what, Isabel, we have a recipe for coconut lime something or other soup. Maybe Sally can. I think I got Sally muted, but anyway, we can send that to you. I don't know if that's something that you've made before, but it is fantastic. There's curry in it, and there's a bunch of other spices in it. It's one of my favorites. It's just so good.
Well, that sounds delicious.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, we got Brian with us. I want to thank everybody for participating in a staff meeting today. Is there any last questions before we bid you all farewell? And again, we're meeting in 2 weeks, and not for very long. If nothing else, thank you all for attending. And
Troy, I actually do have a question just about sending coordinators gift cards. Do we just send Sally the incentive request form, or is there a specific route to go to get a Christmas gift card for a coordinator?
Okay, so what do you do if you need to? I'm gonna unmute Sally so she can talk. But if you want to send a gift card to a coordinator, you got to let Sally know pretty quickly. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna buy gift cards. And my understanding, and I'll let Sally issue a correction if necessary. But my understanding is that we're gonna send you, the guides, all of the gift cards, and let you include those with the notes that you're going to write, because those are the note cards, or the package of note cards coming to each of you. They're going to be mailed sometime today, so you should be getting them sometime next week. And so the gift cards will come also right to you. And so just keep that in mind when you're planning timing. We're the first week of December here. We got like 3 weeks left, so you want to jump on this pretty quick if that's something you're going to do. Great.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you all very much, and Godspeed. We'll talk to you soon. So Brian, Jenny, and Steve, stick around. All right. We have now reached the time where we have leadership correlation meeting, and the things that we wanted to talk about were, let's see, there were two things.
Hey, Jenny, who had the idea to make the boxes on Bring It On a little bit transparent so you can see the image behind it?
That was the team leaders.
That was a great idea.
Leaders. Yeah, I thought so too. Troy, you are still recording, which is fine if you want to leave it, but this may be boring for anybody watching staff meeting.